Welcome to Pimpy's Investment Chat, where we keep investment talk simple. And here's your host, Pimpy.
What is going on out there, peeps? Oh yes, take a look at that box. How would you like to get one of these packages accidentally mailed to your house? This is what currency smuggling is right here. A lot of people are asking questions. They're not sure exactly what's going on in Iraq and what the big issue is. So let's go ahead and get this cleared up. See this box right here? It holds a specific currency. The dollars from the United States. Those are in demand over there in Iraq, both by its citizens in Iraq, as well as the countries that surround Iraq, such as Iran. When a country is under sanctions by the United States, it affects their economies, it affects their currencies, and their currencies tend to lose a lot of value. So then the local people, the citizens, turn to US dollars, and they try to get them one way or another. It creates a black market, and citizens are willing to give up more of their local currency just to get their hands on the US dollars is the issue. But I also see a bigger agenda taking place. I get the reason for the smuggling. I get why it is that Iran and Turkey and those other countries want the US dollars versus their currencies as they're being punished under sanctions. But this type of stuff has been going on for a long time. I can't help but feel like there's a bigger agenda going on. I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. Before we get started, do me a favor and hit the thumbs up button. And if you're not a subscriber, please do so, because when you do, it helps out the channel, and I certainly do appreciate it. If you're thinking about buying gold and silver, head on over to our friends at Money Metals Exchange. The link will be down below in the description. If you are a first-time buyer and you spend more than $100, use promo code PIMPYSILVER. Yes, it has changed. PIMPYSILVER. So if you're watching this video and it's an older video, make sure you check on current videos, because the code is going to be changing from time to time from now on. Also, I can be found on other platforms. Everybody knows I have my own website, Pimpy's News Network. Over here, I post videos that I can't get away with over on YouTube. Also, I have a group on Facebook called Pimpy's Investment Chat. Over here, we do talk about gold, silver, cryptocurrencies, as well as foreign currency investments. Come on over here and join us. It's free to do so. You can also come follow me on Twitter, MeWe, YouTube, and Odyssey. The links for all these platforms will be down below in the description. So for whatever reason, if I get removed off of one platform, you could find me on the others. For those of you looking for my address, there it is right here. Feel free to pause the video and write it down and reach out to me. All right, let's get clarity about what's really going on over there in Iraq in regards to the decline of the Iraqi Dinar, the timing in all of this, and how all of this is actually playing out. Everybody knows that the coordinating framework, Maliki and all of his friends inside his group are all Iranian-backed politicians. They do the bidding of Iran over there in Iraq. We know that Al-Kalawi as well as Maliki own banks over there in Iraq. The currency auctions were being used as a way to funnel money into Iran while Iran is under sanctions. This is a big no-no. This is really bad. So they sanctioned a lot of these people, but it was no big deal. It didn't have any effect on them. They were still able to smuggle money, but not just in Iran, Turkey, as well as other neighboring countries who were being punished by the United States. So you can understand that it's very, very profitable for somebody like Maliki, who owns a bank and is a politician, a high-ranking, very powerful, influential politician within Iraq. So unfortunately, when your politicians do these types of things and the United States can't find a way to stop what's going on, they'll take it out on the citizens of their country. Unfortunately, it's what you have to do. The issue with the currency is this: there is not enough United States dollars in Iraq. The people over in Iraq prefer the US dollar. This is why we're seeing articles where they're talking about the amount of money each individual is allowed to have for traveling purposes. It was 10,000, then it went down to 5,000. Now it's up to 7,000 per person. They're trying to limit the amount of US dollars being taken out of Iraq and smuggled into other countries. Over time, they have found creative ways to do this because the central bank of Iraq was very loose. In the past, we know there has been a lot of corruption in Iraq, and so they have found clever ways to smuggle the money out of that country and into Iran and the other neighboring countries suffering from sanctions. So they limited how much money people could take out of the country for business purposes, traveling purposes, because in the past people would just go and ask for ridiculous amounts of money and then take it across the border and give it to the powers that be in other countries. That's why you're seeing articles about the amount of money a person's allowed to have. Another method they were using was creating fictitious businesses. They would create companies that didn't exist, send over invoices that were inflated for goods, and demanding to be paid in US dollars. That was another way they were doing this. And that's why we see articles about the central bank cracking down on fictitious companies sending in overpriced invoices to be paid in US dollars. Since it was so out of control, the United States decided to limit the amount of dollars being sent over to Iraq, putting the squeeze on the US dollar, which is in really high demand in Iraq. Think supply and demand. Since there wasn't a lot of US dollars there, when somebody was able to get their hands on the US dollar, they were able to go out on the black market and trade the US dollars for a lot more dinars, more than what the fixed official rate is. Legally, you're only supposed to get 1,450 dinars for every US dollar. On the black market, what was happening is people were swapping the US dollar for around 1,700 dinars because the dollars were so scarce, and these people in other countries wanted the dollars, not to mention Iraq's own citizens. So this was causing the huge gap between the official rate and the market rate. So cash smuggling or laundering becomes really profitable. So you can imagine how good the money smugglers got it when they are getting 17% more dinars for every US dollar. Let me see if I can put it another way. Let's say we found out that somebody was smuggling Canadian dollars here into the United States. And we know that the official rate of exchange is 1 US dollar for every 5 Canadian dollars. So 1 to 5 is the ratio. We get 5 Canadian dollars for every 1 US dollar. But for some reason, Canada is under sanctions, causing a black market on their currency. And then you find an individual who has access to Canadian dollars. And I mean a lot of them. And that person is willing to trade you 10 Canadian dollars for every 1 US dollar, doubling the actual official exchange rate. Well, hell yes, you'll do it. You'll take your US dollars and swap them for double the exchange rate. Turn around and take those Canadian dollars, bring them back here in the United States, and then turn around and swap them for US dollars. Okay? So you can understand how that's profitable to them. People are willing to pay more in their local currency to get their hands on the US dollars. So really that's the big issue going on in Iraq. There's a shortage of US dollars because as soon as they hit the banks in Iraq, people are taking the money and smuggling it into other countries to make a profit. So they're trying to put the crackdown on that. Here's a couple of things I find interesting about what's going on in regards to this whole smuggling operation that's over there and why it is that this is such big news. So you're going to start seeing headlines like this. Of course, it makes sense. Iraq, US dollar smuggling crackdown leaves Baghdad struggling to pay wages. So why are they having a hard time to pay wages? Just use your local currency. How is the US dollar making it harder for Iraq to pay their local wages? U.S. efforts to stop Iraq money laundering sparks huge cross-border dollar smuggling. These kind of headlines are there for a reason. And the reason for that, I believe, is this is just another excuse they're going to use to push us into the central bank digital currency. They're going to bring up these types of issues, stating that when the United States wants to punish a country who has bad humanitarian issues, who is funding terrorist groups, whatever other excuse they want to use. They want to be able to control what's going on in their economies because they use the economies as weapons against these leaders. It causes their own citizens to rise up against them whenever these citizens are being affected. It's a nifty little trick. The United States has been doing it for quite some time. But if you got other countries that are smuggling in money, it really defeats the purpose of you putting sanctions. Having a central bank digital currency allows them to monitor cross-border payments, also control the money that is being used, where it goes, how it gets there, and who it is that has it. So when I see these types of headlines, it just tells me that they're going to be looking for this as an excuse to push us into the central bank digital currency. I find this headline very interesting as well. Iraq currency crash halts after meeting with U.S. officials. So that's all it took, was just a quick meeting, and bam, just like that, everything stopped. So when they try to look for all these different excuses to push us into the central bank digital currency, just remember, all it took was a quick meeting to end a currency crash over in another country that the United States was orchestrating. Anyways, I just wanted to explain in better detail because a lot of people were asking, what is the big deal about the US dollar and the Iraqi dinar? What is the real problem? So that's what it is. We send the US dollars into Iraq. Corrupt people take those US dollars and bring them into countries that we have sanctions on. And those countries are willing to pay more than the official rate of exchange just to get their hands on the US dollars. Anyways, that's it for now, you guys. Leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think, and I will get back at you later. I'm out.